Hi, everybody. Welcome to another one of our podcasts. Today, I have the wonderful, renowned journalist Jennifer Weigel and best-selling author, and we were so happy when she said she agreed to come on. And today, we have Jen. How are you?
Anything
welcome.
For you, Susan.
Welcome.
Thank you
welcome.
for having me.
You are so welcome. I mean that. We go back a long way.
We do.
And the people that have watched you, watched myself, your following is huge. And
so is yours.
Well, you know, it's funny. Together, there's magic. I can't tell you how many people have said that.
Yeah, we have a good time whenever we get together on stage or a podcast or just out to dinner. Look out, servers.
It is nice, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But you know, you have done so much. And, you know, for those of you that read Jen's books, keep reading them because Jen is constantly going to be, you know, writing more books. There's always going to be a new book in the mix.
From your lips to a publisher's ears. Thank you.
Well, I think there will be, honestly. And I'm not saying it because I love you, but I am saying it because of the talent that you do possess with writing. You know, you're a wonderful speaker and you're a great interviewer, but you are a phenomenal writer.
Thank you.
I always say the old souls are the ones that can write.
Well, I always tell people that they should never discount the power of the written word because at the end of the day, when everything's gone, you know, how did we learn about previous generations? How did we learn about the ancient tasks? They were chiseled onto templates. They were documented, right? So
Very
we have
true.
to document things with the written word, and it's not going to go away. So a good old pen and paper is, as old school as it sounds, important.
Is that how you write?
No, I don't now as much. I love the voice recorders on my phone.
That's a good way.
I have conversations with people, right?
Yeah.
Then I record it on the phone.
Okay.
Then I sit at my laptop and I transcribe it. People are like, oh, you could just use the software. I'm like, no, I want to re-listen to it. I want to type it. I'm a cognitive learner. So if I'm typing out the words and I'm hearing them, then I can start structuring the story, the chapter, how it's going to arc. I can just see it all. I must have had some past lives as writers or orators or something.
I do. I really believe that the true writers were the very old souls that have been doing it again. And I believe all of the spirit guides and the angels are using your body to channel these messages of what, and because I bet when you write and you start, you're in a rhythm. You just keep going.
You know, I remember, it's funny you bring that up, Susan. I remember being on a plane, writing a chapter for my first book, Stay Tuned. And it was based on the conversation I was having with James Van Praagh. And I had my notes from the conversation, but I didn't have the actual words because the recording was at home. All of a sudden, I start hearing the words. They're coming through like a movie. And I'm on my laptop. You know, I remember this clunky laptop in the late 90s that I had. And I was typing, and I was typing so hard that the gentleman sitting in the seat, because this was on his, you know, turned around. He's like, hey, ease up, lady. I was like, sorry.
But you see what you were in?
Yeah.
I believe that so much. Good for you. But I do. I always saw that in you. I said, she has been writing, and writing. This is why it comes effortlessly with you. And it's interesting because I have so many people. I read all your books. I love your books. But so many people said, I love her books because I can identify with what she's trying to say.
Thanks. Well, I just try to make human contact with some of this woo-woo content, right?
Yeah.
So if people are thinking it's strange and weird, I just bring humor to what's strange and weird. Because if you really start documenting all these that's weird circumstances, more and more people would admit to having those things happen to them, whether it's paranormal or pretty normal. They're happening to all of us.
So let me ask you this, okay? Because this makes me think of a question. How did you get into wanting to deal with the spirit world and write about it, you know, report it?
It was a total accident. I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I mean,
Oh, my God.
I was a journalist. I mean, when you're a journalist, you need your sources to be people that you call on a landline and you visit in a coffee shop with your pen and paper.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
That's a source, not like barking at a cloud, hoping for a bird to fly by, and then maybe a bell will chime, and then you'll see a serpent in the water, right? You know, these are things now that I know to mean things, but before I didn't believe in any of this stuff. So what happened was my dad died. He had a brain tumor. I was 30 at the time, and I went out to investigate people like you because I thought it was all a bunch of hooey, and I thought, you know what, grief is really expensive. People are going to different mediums and psychics, and if it's not true, they should save their money. That's really what I thought. So I set out to put on my little journalist hat and go and interview as many people like yourself as I could. And it took me all the way across the country, you know, and 4 books later, I'm still having these conversations, but too many things happened that I couldn't explain because I wouldn't give people my last name. I would just say Jen. You know, I wouldn't give them a phone number. The way you could really get around that was at Lilydale. Have you been to Lilydale?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's very spiritual, and there's a lot of weird things that happen there.
Totally. I mean, this is a home of spiritualism. For those who don't know, do some research. Google Lilydale. It is a town in New York where they open their gates from Memorial Day to Labor Day, although I don't know what they're going to do now, if they're open at all because of what's going on with the pandemic. But they have all spiritualists, and spiritualists believe the spirit lives on. And so there's healers, psychics, mediums that live within the community. They're members of the spiritualist church, and they have to be tested. They have to be at least 80% accurate to get that label of spiritualist minister. So they're, they got to go through all these
They go through the hoops.
tests. Yeah, they jump through a lot of hoops, get their title of being part of the spiritualist community, spiritualist minister. And then they all live there. A lot of them live across the country. There are spiritualist churches all over the country. But the community in Lilydale started in, I think it was 1848. I did a lot of research on it. And it's believed that during the time of Abraham Lincoln, that one person in every household was a spiritualist because the Civil War caused so much loss and grief that people needed to hold on to something. And they were having, Mary Todd Lincoln was, of course, into seances and stuff because of her losses with her children. So it was a really popular thing. And then they busted the Fox sisters in Lilydale for kind of doing parlor tricks. They had little taps under their chairs and in the walls. They were triggering these little tricks. And because they were faking some of their experiences, their hauntings, to try to make it more valid, which really breaks my heart because one faker ruins it for all those who are legit.
I agree. And I say that a lot in my podcasts and even the YouTubes, you have to find someone you really connect to. But, I have a lot of problems with clients that like to be psychic junkies.
Oh, sure.
And I just say, don't do that.
Well, the really legitimate ones, and this is why I like you, it's like if somebody's literally calling you every week because they don't know what to get at the grocery store, figure it out.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Come on.
Yeah.
But if somebody's going through severe grief because of a loss of a loved one and they just can't get out of bed, I get needing to talk to you more frequently. But what you do is empower people through your videos, through your teachings. You empower people to tap into their own intuition and to trust it.
Yeah, I do.
But some people just don't trust it, right? Because they're not using it enough.
And they don't know how. They don't know how. Because now when the floodgates open, they don't know what to do with it. So then they'll call and they'll say, all right, this happened. What does that mean? So that's when I'll help them. But I want to teach them that this is real. This is something you have to look into. And more is going to come. Because I say, when the floodgates start opening, you're going to see things coming like crazy.
Right.
Don't be afraid of it.
Right. And it's all intention, too. I tell people this. When you just say, I open up to anything to please come at me. That's like turning on the lights and opening all the windows without a screen, and the bugs are going to fly in.
Great analogy. I like that.
I've never said that before. That just came to me
that,
right now.
That is a great analogy.
But,
so for all of you that are listening, did you hear what she just said?
What did I say?
Okay, you're opening the windows and you're without a screen and letting all the bugs, you're letting all the debris, literally the crap coming through.
Right. So there are a lot of energies on the other side that are not in the light, that are bored.
Right.
They're bored silly. And they want to play with something, whether it's your Ouija board or you just sitting in the car going, give me any sign, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have any boundaries. So, so put down the screen. And so what is the first thing you say? In the light of God or for my highest good? Or what do you suggest people say to just make sure it's all in the high light zone?
I always ask for, I always say, please direct me, please guide me personally, professionally, the utmost good, healthy vibrations in all that surrounds me. Please find me healthy love. Please, and professional, personal. I don't narrow it down to just, God. Romantic love.
Oh no, but I mean, like when you're invoking anything, I
bring everybody to the table.
Archangels,
when always,
angels.
And I always say for God, but I also thank God for all God's lovely extensions. Because when people go, well, you don't need the angels, you don't need the spirit guides, you don't need your guardian angels. We just go pray to God. You can do that,
right?
But God's provided so much beauty and so much power and strength, in so many other ways that they're all part of God. So bring them all. Bring them all.
You said some wonderful stuff in the. I had you in my spiritual social club for the Zoom things that I've been doing. They're
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, you suggested to the gallery about giving runners a task, right?
Yes.
So runners are like angels that
Right.
need a job.
Yes,
basically.
they run. I call them scavengers.
Okay.
When I was a little girl, I remember the first time I saw two angels. Okay, I probably was 8 years old, and they didn't come with wings. This is interesting. Everybody thinks they're all white, and I saw angels when I had passed, the first time, and I saw the wings. But this was different. I was 8 years old, and I actually saw two old men.
How did you know they were angels? They were just bright old men?
Well, it was funny because they were here to direct me because they were the first ones to tell me not to tell because people weren't going to understand.
Interesting.
And they helped me. And they looked like somebody that was like a homeless man.
So they didn't look like George Burns
Oh,
from,
no.
okay,
No,
got it.
nothing like that. But I wasn't afraid of them. And the angel said to me, if I just listen to them, everything is going to be good and they're going to keep me safe. But here's the thing. They had this bright light.
Okay.
That's how I knew it was good. Okay? And the second one had an invisible halo of light. It was just, there wasn't a halo, but you saw the circle of light.
Cool.
And that's how I knew. And they said, we are going to help you. So what? And I said, well, what do you do? They said, we run. We run here, we run there. We're going to run to get whatever it is you need. So get used to praying. Pray for what you need. And you'll stay close to God and you will be safe.
Wow.
Okay.
That's powerful.
8 years old. I'll never forget it. So now, fast forward, I'm 15. And I had a lot of problems with my digestive tract. I kept throwing up, and my mother took me to so many hospitals, and they couldn't find what was wrong. Finally, they got tired of it. I was in Illinois Masonic Hospital, and they kept me in there for a week, and they said, well, we think she has an ulcer. Okay? And they said to my mother, well, I think you baby her too much, and maybe you're just giving her too much love. And so they wanted to evaluate me. And so for 2 days, I was grueling with these hospital psychologists and social workers. So the same two men that I hadn't seen since I was 8
Wow.
came. I'll never forget it. And I'm in my hospital room. I didn't have a roommate or anything. And they said, remember what we said. Shh. And I says, do I say anything? They said, don't tell them what you see. They won't get it. And they're going to put you away. And I says, really? I mean, I'm 15 years old.
Oh, my
He
gosh.
said, you cannot tell.
So what did you pray for? What did you ask them for?
I just prayed for them to guide me and to keep, I remember when one of them, one was always the speaker and the other one was just there. And I said, so what do I do? They said, we will be there. And I said, but don't go away. I said, I want you here. And they said, we're watching silently, but don't tell. Probably looking back was probably the best advice I think I ever got, because you know what? Had I have told, I think they would have medicated me. I think I would have not been the person I am today. I think I would have been all screwed up. So these two runners that would run to get whatever it is that I would need, they started to help me in such a profound way. And they started guiding me every time I needed something. I remember another time they were, I'll never forget one time I was underground parking and there was this big guy coming at me. And I'll never forget it. And something happened to this guy where he was charging at me, and all of a sudden a car came and accidentally hit him.
Okay.
I looked and I remember freezing, just looking.
Right.
And then I see the man again, go! And I, boom,
Ran.
I just left.
Go.
I'll never forget it. And yeah, I think I've seen them maybe about 7 times in my life. So I'm sure that when it's my time to go, I'll probably see them someday. But I asked them, what is your name? And they called me, just call us the runners.
The runners.
The runners.
Okay.
So they lead us to where we need to go, but they come up with solutions to what we're supposed to do. And if you don't, they will tell you. So it's very interesting. So till this day, if you need a problem, and you just don't know what to do, they'll do it. They
And
come through.
I try to encourage people all the time to remember that they have a team of angels, they have a team of guides, and now I'm going to think of, my Art Carney runners or whatever. But basically, we all have them. They need to be invoked. And
I agree with you.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, my daughter was having problems with something at work. And this person just wasn't a nice person. It ended up being her boss, okay? And he just was not a nice person. He was a very toxic, very jealous, and undermined. I think we've all had a boss like that
Right.
would steal your ideas and just would not work. And, the poor person is doing all the things. So I started praying for the last 2 weeks to reroute this man. Get it away from my daughter, okay? 2 weeks. Never told Alex anything. And I just kept praying, make sure she's happy and she's safe and blah, 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 everything that you pray for your child. But please reroute this individual from Alex's life. Yesterday, I get a phone call from her. I'm in between sessions. I says, Alex, you got 60 seconds. Tell me what you really need. And because I have a client waiting. She goes, I just want to let you know that my boss got fired. I
Right.
says, really? She goes, Mom, I felt like something was rerouting me.
Nice. And she used
Reroute.
that word. And you know what?
Reroute.
As a parent, we always want our
Right?
child to be in the easiest, like I always say, please show us the answer with ease and grace. Ease and grace.
I agree.
But then there's karma, right? And there's lessons. So
There's
maybe
lessons.
Alex and this person have a past life dance that they're doing.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be unraveled. I mean, I have a friend who just kept quitting job after job after job anytime the boss would get adversarial. And then finally when she faced the fourth boss that was showing the exact same personality traits. I said, maybe you're supposed to learn something here.
Yeah.
This is a lesson that you need to master. So why don't you stick it out, stand up for yourself, tell this person to go get bent, risk getting fired because you don't like this person anyway,
Right.
and see what happens. And that's what happened. She stuck it out and then got promoted. See, so I'm just saying that yes, well, of course we want to take all of the speed bumps out of the way for our children or whatever.
I agree.
Sometimes, and I tell this to people who have these persistent challenges, sometimes it's actually divinely meant to help you stand up for yourself or face one of your
Absolutely.
life, your core life lessons. Because I believe we all come in with a syllabus of life lessons that we need to conquer and master that we've chosen, like a college course catalog, right?
Yeah.
And we come in, and do you feel that that's what we do?
Absolutely. There
Okay.
is a reason for everything. And what I always say, for every person that isn't a nice person, it's definitely the lesson that we need to learn. And it's not just learning what this person did, but we also have a lesson to change for ourselves.
Right.
Okay. And, you're right. I do believe in past lives. A lot of things happen in past lives. And sometimes when I think, even when I see a mother-daughter combination.
Oh, sure.
The
roles have been reversed.
Well, they have.
Yeah.
But sometimes I even think, like I had a session yesterday with a woman that had a turbulent relationship with her mother. And I said, honestly, the last lifetime, you won. There was something that she wanted and you got. And so this is the lifetime that she was going to keep you down no matter what.
Interesting.
And she said that's exactly what she did. From the time I was a little girl, she wanted to sabotage everything. I said, because you took something of hers and she was going to make sure. That's why she signed up to be your mother. She knew she was going to have the power over you.
Right. Right.
Think about that.
Oh, it's powerful.
Very powerful.
We have no idea, and that's the thing, when we get so micro about everything and we think, oh, I'm sad, this doesn't work, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But when I interviewed a woman who died, Dr. Mary Neal, the doctor who wrote To Heaven and Back and 7 Things I Learned in Heaven, an orthopedic surgeon, was out, no oxygen for 30 minutes. And when she was dead, hovering over the scene, because she drowned in a kayaking accident in Chile, and her husband, another surgeon, was there, witnessed it. There were all
Wow.
these witnesses. But when she was in the light, she saw that we are all connected. It's like a tapestry. It's a beautiful oriental rug. There's light, there's dark, but there's a pattern to it. When we're down here, we feel so personal, like I'm getting stepped on, this sucks, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But up there, it's gorgeous. Even with the dark and the light, and they are woven together. As much as you think, no, I am nothing like so-and-so. I am not like that guy. I want to fight. I don't want to join. We are connected. We have to understand that.
But that brings me to what you just said for a pre-birth assignment, to why you signed up for what you signed up.
Oh.
Because of while you were up there and how beautiful it was, you didn't have fear, you just saw the lesson without the emotion. When we come back as a human, we come back with the emotional ties.
Right. And a veil is so
Yeah.
thick we can't see that there's all this light and beauty.
It's
Right?
so true,
Yeah.
right? So that's a great point, but that's what's really happening, because
Right.
then we come back as a human being with our egos and our sensitivity
Right.
and blah, 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 like you say, and that's really what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So, when people say, I don't understand how I could signed up to be my mother's son.
Right.
You did.
Right.
Because you had a different agenda. You're losing face of the agenda that you sought out to do.
Right. Truly. And you know what? There are repeated themes in families too.
Yeah.
I have now figured out that I know I came back into this particular family to master addictions because they run in my family like the bulls. I mean, it's like left and right. There's another
Okay.
addiction. There's another addiction.
Right.
And codependence, narcissists, all of that. The narcissist and the addiction. And so I chose this family because it was chock full of them. and I have a choice on how I'm going to react to it. Am I going to teach with this information, or am I going to act like a victim and run into a corner?
So
and
true.
I've chosen to teach.
That's right.
Because from what we have experienced, we can help teach others. Even before we were rolling here, we were talking about my son and his health issues.
That's right.
We went through the ringer with
I
him.
know you
ER
did.
visits, ultrasounds, all these expert specialists. They just wanted to medicate him with these high-dose drugs until we found a functional medicine doctor who finally, and a nutritionist, that got us on the right track.
So happy for you. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy for your son because he did suffer
Oh.
profusely. He
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah.
No child should suffer like that.
But you know what he would say, and he's such a good sport about it, he would say, it could be so much worse, Mom. And he would see these people in the hospital with
What a
so
sweet
much
thing.
worse, you know,
Yes.
even though he couldn't even eat a banana without incredible
Pain.
doubled over pain, he would still say, it could still be worse, you know. And that is true for everybody. When you're down in the dumps with whatever's going on in your world, there is somebody with a much, I'll never forget this. I was in the gym once, back when we used to be able to go to the gyms, and this woman was cleaning the bathrooms, singing a full-on song. She was jamming, and she was happy, beyond
Oh,
happy.
I love that.
Cleaning other people's crap in the toilet. She was singing.
The state of mind.
Yes,
You
and I
see?
was like, that is exactly what I needed to see today, because here I am complaining that I didn't get a call back from so-and-so, or this didn't work out at work, or this project is on the fritz. This lady's cleaning toilets, and she's singing a song. It was a great lesson. We all
Wow.
need a little perspective.
That's nice.
Mhm.
That's a really beautiful story.
Mhm.
Something so simple, and you can, you know what? It's so true. People make things complicated, Jen. I see it every day.
Yeah.
I do. It doesn't have to be this hard.
But you know what, too? I think people feel like, I didn't choose this family, and I was born with this. But guess what? You can choose your tribe, and that's what I'm trying to encourage, is like helping people just put up the boundaries with the blood relatives where it's not working.
Very much
that you're
so.
not feeling fulfilled. And you and I have talked about
Yes.
this a lot.
Yes.
If you're not getting treated with respect, then you got to get out. And
Any
don't repeat.
and that's
No.
any relationship.
Any.
That's
it doesn't
right.
matter if it's like if my son felt I was disrespecting him and he wanted to cut me off, I would have to say, wow, I better look at my behavior. I mean, truly, I've had to do this with my mother. You know, I mean, like and then when they reassess and go, wow, well, maybe that wasn't the best, they can come back to you when they want to be better. You know, I say, listen, I'm not like a nun. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, but I do know the difference between right and wrong, hate and love. I
Right.
really do know those things.
I
And so
know.
do you. And so do most people. And when you're spreading hate versus love, you know the difference. It feels different. And everybody has to understand they have a choice with who they sit and break bread with.
So true.
You know, I would much rather sit at a Thanksgiving dinner with the people that truly understand what I'm all about than other people that I was born into a community and they never read one of my books. It's like,
So
what's the
true.
heck?
No, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. We choose,
Mhm.
and it's free will.
Right.
And people, I notice, well, it's still my mom. You don't understand how hard it is. And when I sit at the other side of the table, I'm thinking to myself, you have no idea what I see and what I've been through. I do know how hard it is
Right.
to be estranged from a family member.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if it's for the greater good and it's more healthier,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Nobody's talking about being mean to your mother, being disrespectful, hanging up on her. You just choose to not play the game, her game.
Right. And even if the Bible, you know, people have thrown this at me. The
yes,
Bible
I-
says, honor thy mother and thy father. I said, well, you know what? If the father is, you know, abusing somebody or the mother is a raging alcoholic, you don't have to honor their behavior and choices.
No.
You know, I'm sorry, that's
I
a
agree
little
with that.
outdated. That advice is not going to fly with me. You know, I have
No.
a rule, and my core circle knows this rule. If you're not working on yourself, you can't hang out with me.
Fair enough.
That's
No,
it.
fair enough.
I mean, that's it.
I don't think you're asking a lot.
Right.
just think you're asking somebody to be truthful with themselves.
Right.
You're getting rid of all the narcissism.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
All the people, the blame game. You know, just hey, you screwed up. It's okay.
Right.
I've screwed up many times.
Right. And that's what I say. I go,
I
and
have.
I said,
But I've always said I'm sorry.
Truly.
Because I'll think, Jesus, what did I'm really
Right.
sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And
Right.
I'm really aware then of what I said or what I did. And I'm changing it. I don't want to ever feel that way or make somebody else feel that way.
And accountability, and you get this in your work, Susan. I see this all the time when I interview different people, such as yourself, and the people are sad because Dad was mean, or I was mean to my loved one, and then they died. Like from the other side, they just see how their actions made other people feel.
That's
right?
exactly what happens on the other side.
Right.
It's moment of truth, and 9 out of 10 times those spirits will come through with remorse.
Right.
It's true.
Right.
And you know what people say now? They'll say, well, it doesn't matter now. My mother
Yeah.
treated me like this. I go,
Right.
but I'm explaining how it works on the other side.
Right.
Let your mother come in and say what she wants to say. You're here to hear the messages, then you need to hear all of the messages.
That's exactly right, because we can't move forward. Like, they're not holding on to it the way we are.
Right.
Like, I wrote about this in my third book, This Isn't the Life I Ordered. My grandpa was a mean dude. He would literally throw grenades into rooms and leave. You know, he enjoyed getting everybody all riled up and fighting and all this stuff. And so when I would think about him, I would have a physical reaction of pain, like literally a stomach ache. The guy has been dead since 2001 or 2, and yet it's still affecting me. I'm the one suffering. He's somewhere in the light, or not. Maybe he's doing some heavy lifting somewhere else. I don't know. But he's not in his painful body anymore, yet I am creating a painful body with his memory.
Absolutely.
And that's my choice. So I did this whole thing where I pictured light going from my heart to his face, and it was very powerful. And then I was crying, and it was like forgiveness and all of this stuff. And I saw his face, and he was tired, like he really needed to work hard, and he was sorry, and I could feel this whole exchange. And then my son and I looked up, and there were 41 broad-winged hawks over us.
Oh my God.
It's
How
it's like a
beautiful.
phenomenon called a kettle, apparently, according to bird lovers. And a kettle is when a swarm of birds finds a hot spot, and it takes them higher with less effort. Think of that meaning.
How beautiful.
Going higher with less effort. The kettle. So they find a hot spot, it takes them way higher, less effort, they don't have to flap around, and there were 41 hawks just soaring over us. And my son counted them all with it, and we took a picture with the iPad, so that's how we know there were 41. But it was so powerful, I'll never forget that, and that was because I chose love instead of hate. And that
I
was a
love that.
beautiful sign. Again, now,
Wow,
the
pretty.
cynical journalist, before I went and did all these interviews, would have thought, oh, cool, a bunch of hawks, keep driving. But now, because of the journey I've been on, I know when you see something that unusual, that's unusual. That's a
You don't see 41 hawks.
No, and-
hawks. And on top of
Yeah,
it, hawks.
in
They're not
one spot.
robins.
No.
These are hawks.
Right.
These
There
are
wasn't
very unusual.
Crows over dead bodies.
Yeah.
It was a really unusual circumstance. And so for people who are birders, I guess, they search their whole birding career hoping to see something like that. And we got it. So that, to me, I tell people all the time, ask for signs and signals, and then you better turn on your eyes, because they're going to show up when your intention is to see them and absorb them.
I agree.
Then you will see them, and you better absorb it.
You have to be a willing spirit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I love that you didn't believe. You started out not believing, and look at what you now know. Because you were open. I give you so much credit. It's just like when people come in and they're very skeptical. All that I ask is that you're open.
Right.
That's it.
Don't you love the ones that come in and they go, and they'll say, what's your full name? And they'll say, you tell me.
You know what, Jen? I get this all the time.
I know, right?
And well, you should know. You're the psychic.
Yeah, exactly. I see that
And I'm like,
happen.
oh, God, really? Are you that much of an amateur to not understand that?
Right,
That's
right.
not what this is about.
Right.
But they do, and they're very condescending.
Oh, yeah.
I had somebody who asked me the other day, can I give them the lotto numbers?
Right. Well, that's another question I have for you about manifesting. Because literally, I just did this spiritual social club last night about manifesting with candle magic with this woman named Jorianne.
Yeah.
And she has and you do candle magic
I
too.
do. I actually
Yeah.
believe in it if you get the right candles.
If you get the, and so she was talking about this too, right?
Yes,
so it's
you
like
can
get
do
the
that.
right candle and
Yes.
have the right prayer, all these things.
Absolutely.
But then somebody said, well, you know, what if it's not for your highest good to win the lottery because you're not ready for it, and it's like the worst thing that ever happens to you.
Well, I can charge that with, how about if you win and then you unveil a lot of problems that you needed to address, and maybe that was the catalyst for you to deal with that.
Correct. It's always about learning,
It
right?
is.
It is. No
So it's
matter
what you do with it.
It's what you do with
Okay.
it, yeah.
If you're going to do something good and help other people or create something that you always wanted to,
Right.
you know, when somebody asks me that, I never think about what I'm going to do for me.
Right.
I always think this is what I would open.
Right. I'm like, okay, I'd open a healing center with
There you
people
go.
like you, and I'd like
There you go.
I'm going to be the most fun rich person, Susan.
Yes, you would, and you will be, and you're already rich in a lot of ways. But, I get it, and it's your outlook is where it's going to take you. Your outlook is everything. So if you're going to think in a selfish way, you are going to have nothing but selfish people that you will be attracting.
Right.
And your life will also be very shallow.
Like attracts like. So if your
All
ego
the
is running the
time.
show and it's all about ego, and you say, I want to win this money so that I could do this, this, and this for me, then that's a different vibration, right?
Yeah.
But if you say, I would like to win the lottery because I want to open a healing center and I want to take my Uncle Tony to Europe and I want to do all these things. I want to take my whole family on a cruise so we can spend time together, see the world, hopefully not get COVID. If you just really, that's what I want to do. And if that intention is to share, be joyful, and enjoy the ones I love, that's going to hold a lot more weight with the candle and the candle magic than say, I just need, to buy this car and get this fancy house and, again, all those ego. And that's one of the problems I had with The Secret. The Secret made vision boards popular and just picture that big house. And I actually got into
I don't agree with it.
Well, I don't either.
No.
But
No,
I've had
because
so many people say.
So many people. It's
hey,
done a lot of harm.
Because they think if I do the vision board, then. And so my theory is look, you don't know what your greatest good is. Your greatest good might be to suffer for a little bit. And I'm sorry to use a Phil Jackson analogy here, but I just love our dear old Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
And he talked about in his book, 11 Rings, it's a very spiritual journey because he was,
He was a
Pentecostal, totally holy roller growing up and then became Buddhist.
Yes.
But he was benched for an entire season when he played for the Knicks. And he was injured. He had a back injury. And that would, a lot of people would go, woe is me over that. And here he was on the bench. And that year of not playing gave him all the knowledge he needed of what it's like to be in the psyche of a player that's injured, how the coaches deal with the players. It was pure research. It was God going, dude, you need a year on the bench because you're going to be this kick-ass coach. You're going to win all these rings because you need to know where your kids' heads are. So you have to experience this so that you can then coach them better. And if we could get into that space of knowing that every bump, every slowdown might actually be part of our resume to help us master something later, we have to go macro, but we stay so micro,
You also have to have the willingness to believe it will get better. I don't care how bad things are. You have to believe you're not going to stay there.
Right.
You are here for a time, but you're not going to stay there. This is what I encounter with so many people. They get stuck in where they're staying, and they've chosen that. Just because you're here now is not where you will be later.
Right.
Get that out of your mindset.
Right.
Okay? Because you won't. But if you're going to keep thinking this is the way it's going to be, you're manifesting it and you're going to stay right where you are.
Totally.
I believe that.
It's like being in the parking lot and going, well, I don't want to get into traffic. It's just going to suck. Well, then there you
it will
go.
suck. Then it will.
Sit in the parking lot, make a few calls.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I do. Now, I can, oh God, you have so much. I love everything that you have. I love everybody that you've interviewed all these years and who you continue to interview. It's really mind-blowing, really. And for those of you that are listening, and for those of you that follow the beautiful, lovely Jen Weigel and everything that she does, she teaches every single day because she's giving us a chance to learn. And she goes beyond. I mean, just going and interviewing and what it takes to go and follow that person. And you have done all of that. You have gone on road trips. You have done all of those things. But now you've got something new that you're doing. And it's
because road trips are more limited because of
Right.
what's happening with the pandemic. It's like
Exactly.
I'm bringing people into the Zoom lounge,
Yes.
if you will.
Yes. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, well, you've been a part of it a couple times. It's been outstanding.
I love it because I believe in this. And
Yeah.
and it's, you call it the Spiritual Club.
The Spiritual Social Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell the audience what it is exactly that you're doing.
So we've been having these gatherings with experts like yourself and
Okay.
different authors. They're sometimes healers, they're sometimes mediums, sometimes psychics, sometimes just good old authors, right? Carolyn Mace, medical intuitive. Marla Freese is a psychic. She has the book American Psychic. We had a pet whisperer. I mean, you name it, we've
love
had
that.
it.
Yeah.
And so it's a 20-person maximum in the Zoom for most of these because we want to keep it really intimate. I want everybody to be able to ask the expert or myself, a question and have that intimate feel like we're in someone's living room having a party. And it's great because it's a 2-hour experience, usually 2.5 hours, let's be honest. We go a little long.
It's
and
okay.
It's just to give people a sampling of how people such as yourself work, because you all work differently, right? Some people have a ceremony, some people are clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant. You know, there's all these different clairs going, by the way, and they have a different way of delivering information or working. And some people are healers that just need to close their eyes. And Pat Longo is one of the people we've had on. She's coming back. She's a hands-on healer that can do it remotely. I swear, I got these emails from a lady. She had migraines, and then she was in our spiritual social club, and now she doesn't have migraines.
I believe it. I've had a session with Pat. She's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You met Pat at the
loved
conference.
It. She took my acid reflux away.
Oh, wow. And so that's the thing. It's all intention. Now, here I am. Disclaimer, everybody. I'm not a medical doctor, neither is Pat Longo. Keep seeing your medical doctors. But I'm a big believer of combo platters. And you have to have a little bit of column A and a little bit of column Z. And so if the functional medicine adds a little something to your regular internal medicine, then by golly, do it all and put it all in the buffet. And that's what I'm serving up to people, as different practitioners who have different styles. And then you can see, it's like shopping. You can go try it on and see what you think, and then if you want a full session, then you reach out to them. Like, sometimes people want to get all of their questions answered in 5 minutes, and it's really hard because that can't happen.
No.
So I put up a limit to people, and I say, hey, get one question in your little box and ask it, and hopefully you'll get served in that way, and then you know if you want to continue the dialogue. So it's been a blast. We're finding such like-minded people, the tribe, the community, all of it. I love it.
You have a great audience. I mean, just a couple of times that I've done it, I've enjoyed every single person that was on there. They're all wonderful.
Really wonderful.
It's a yin and a yang. You have a great audience that joins these things because everybody I've noticed is pretty much on the same channel.
Well, they want to be, right?
Yeah.
Their intention, we talked about intention, right? Their
much.
intention is to get better. And whatever that is, whether they want to increase their intuitive skills or whether they just want to feel better and in less pain, or they want to get information, they want to work on themselves.
You know, you're good at asking the audience, what do you think about this? You know, how do you feel about doing this through a Zoom? And it was very interesting hearing the feedback from your audience. They loved it.
Right.
They were in the privacy of their own home. They can be in a comfortable setting, whether it's a couch or their office.
Right.
They can take down their notes.
They can turn off their camera. They can turn it on. Whatever they want to do. I don't care.
You
no
know,
judgment.
because of COVID, this has actually opened up things for the positive in some ways. And
I had a lady from Toronto last night, Susan.
Exactly.
She never would have come to my events at the Wilmette Theater. So this is exciting.
There's no limits.
Right.
Because you don't have to worry about bad weather, if they're going to close you down, if there's a snowstorm, and I think that's happened once or twice.
Absolutely.
We can't,
That's
dictate
right.
the weather.
John Holland was in from New
Right?
Hampshire, and we had a snowstorm in April.
what
Like,
I
who'd have
said.
thunk it? Yeah, so we had to cancel our event in Naperville because of the snowstorm. This would never happen now with our Zooms. So.
I like this. This is teaching people. And you know what? They're in the privacy of their own home. I think they feel safer this way. This is a hit, by the way. I know this. You are sold out at every event you do. And that speaks volumes, people, because when, it's one thing to be sold out here and there. Jen is sold out every single event that she presents. I'm telling you, people. So for those of you that are tuning in, tune in to Jen, her website, all of these things. You're going to get a listing of her upcoming guests for the show. Buy the tickets. If it's something that you can relate to of the guests that she is having, oh my gosh, we would love to have you. I know she would.
Yeah, and I love to hear from people too. Like if you experience something and it works for you, the email, just today I got a lovely email from somebody who was in last night's event, and she had a book that she wanted to not just give me, but she wanted to share with the whole team that was there last night. So
Really?
she asked me to email it to the club. She said, can you please email this suggestion? I think it would be relevant for our conversation that we had last night, which is just so sweet. You feel like you're connecting with new friends.
Also, what you do that I found really great idea, I've never had anybody do this before, you do a recap of your shows by everything that you send through an email to your audience.
Right. So if they're so blown away by what's happening and
Right.
they're not taking notes, I am.
I
so then
know.
in the email, I send it out to them. Okay, we mentioned this website, this book.
That's great.
This process, this candle, all of it. Last night with the candle magic thing, the email today was a little longer.
But they want it,
great.
and it's
People
great.
want it. Yeah.
It's very informative, and
Yeah.
I think, and no one is doing this. You're the first person that's doing this. Usually when you go to a show, you may have a brochure or something,
Right.
but you don't get the information, and you're doing that, and I think that is just wonderful, and this is why people love your shows. They walk out differently than when they zoomed on, as I want to say.
Yeah.
So tell people how to get a hold of you.
Oh, it's easy. Just go to jenweigel.com, JenWeigel.com, and that's where you can find it. The conversations that I have, the social club, all of it. It's all there.
Okay, so for all of you that's listening, there's an event that Jen always has, and for one of you, for something that's really good. And I also wanted to say, too, don't limit this to adults. If you have young teenagers,
Oh, yeah.
that is a really good thing too. You can buy these tickets online, and your son or daughter that needs something on a specific guest that you had that can help your child.
Yeah, we've actually
Let's
had
do
a lot
that,
of teens
right?
and people in their early 20s because, like you were saying, young, intuitive people need to find their people.
That's right.
And they don't need to just get medicated and put in a corner. I have a real problem with that because someone doesn't understand it. They just want to shut it down.
That's right.
We can't have that happening. So by all means, please.
But your show brings all that, and that's what I like. So for everybody that's listening, there's something for everybody. Look at Jen's schedule. You will be pleasantly surprised and never be bored, and you will walk away with such knowledge beyond words.
And new friends.
And new friends. I cannot say thank you enough for doing this.
Thank you, Susan.
Really, I love you. We're going to be doing more of these.
Great.
Honestly, any upcoming things that you're going to have, they're on your website, but I am going to promote them as well because I just love who you are and I believe in you. So we need people like you, and thank you for being who you are. And I
Prayer
mean
hands
that.
right back out to you.
Okay.
Sending her to you. I'll look for the kettle on the way home.
Thank you again. I
Thanks,
love
hon.
you.
Love you too.
Okay.